Greetings, foolish mortals.
Oh, just gonna start it fucking like that, eh?
And welcome to session 0 of our new Geist the Sin Eaters campaign. I don't have your names. You know who you are. I love you all. Thanks for giving us money. I'll get you next time.
We said your name over on the Star Trek epilogue.
Yeah, go look at the Star Trek thing. They got all the Patreons over there. So
I can read them real quick if you want, but
I mean, it's all good. So we're gonna play Geist the Sin Eaters, 2nd edition. We're gonna do some spooky shit, and it is going to be set in late 1916 in the town of Ypres in northern Belgium as the marsh meets the sea. It is a time of loss of innocence, of the horrors of entangled imperialism, and the destruction of new man-made tools of war. What was entered into as a rather naive skirmish between a few nations easily spiraled out into the largest and most destructive war known to mankind to this point.
It's the war to end all wars.
The Great War. And in the last 2 years, almost 3 years now, the continent, or the part of the continent of Western Europe, where the majority of the Western Front has stagnated, has turned into a charnel house of the dead. In in horrifying, unfathomable numbers, the young men of the world have fought and bled and died on the soils of countries both foreign and their own. And we will be exploring what that has done. Because to kind of lean on some classic horror movie tropes, when hell is full, the dead shall walk the earth. And introducing us to 4 of those walking dead will be our players. Who wants to sort of go first? And what? Hold on 1 second before I get to that. The sort of envelope of setting that I presented to the characters, or to the players as they were creating their characters, which if you are on our Discord, you may have caught. I did post it under spoilers. But essentially, each of these people has died. And then they woke back up, having in their brief moment of death made a contract with an unspeakable horror of the underworld.
Little god of
with
death.
Goals, intelligence, and mysteries of their own. These geists have reason to keep their bound alive, and they form a contract wherein the Geist replaces the soul of the bound. Likewise, each of these bound has a reason to get back up. And that first death may be the most important, but for some of these people, certainly has not been the only one. And so, as they woke back, blinking their eyes into sun, ash, rain, muck, whatever surrounded them, there stood a man with a gaunt face and a rather interesting take on what a uniform of a British Expeditionary Force soldier should be wearing. And with a bit of a smile that seems rather out of place, given the circumstances of, having just died. He welcomed you. Well, some of you welcomed you back to being a subject of His Majesty King George V of England. With the firm press of his cane into the muck or the dirt around you, unrolled a sheaf of documents about your life, your death, and, if you were to accept his job offer, the rather generous way of showing that King George is happy to welcome you as his newest subject. And all it will take is your dedication to exploring the mysteries based on your new lease on life, shall we say.
Emphasis on lease.
Yeah. And so, these four people, with some consideration, certainly, and with some time, made their way to the London address on the calling card that was left with them, and arrived at a stately London townhouse in which is headquartered Project Persephone, an occult research unit that has been in these times of war, and to support the effort of His Majesty's armies, has been reformed into the 9th Royal Rebirthed Infantry Division. And though some of these people may seem out of place, they have all been trained to make use of their new existence in service and in exploration towards the goals and endeavors of Project Persephone. So, let's start with Craig. Would you please introduce us to your character?
Sure. I will be playing Dorothy Baxter, late of Soggy Bottom, a little town. She was the president of the Soggy Bottom Garden Society, retired now, of course. She has a daughter that she cares for very much, several grandkids, and she, takes great joy in spoiling them and loves to knit, and so everyone in the unit has like fresh socks and things like that. She's always scrounging for supplies and loves to do things with her hands. She is a widow. Her husband died some time ago, under mysterious circumstances that have kind of haunted her in more ways than one. Do we want to talk about how she died? Or save that?
We can say that for now.
Okay. So that's Dorothy Baxter.
More important than how she died, why did she come back?
Well, the mystery surrounding her husband's death and the fact that she's actually seen him a couple of times after his passing. And there's some mysteries that about that she's feels a burning need to get resolved. mean, there's a couple other things that sort of kept her around as well, caring for her grandkids and her daughter, and
Sure.
her son-in-law has been missing, not reported missing, just hasn't been in contact with the family in some time, and she's worried about that and what's going to happen to them. So
Mhm.
there was a few reasons that brought her back, but the biggest one was what the hell's going on with her husband.
Absolutely. And so your burden is the bereaved.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Sounds good. I think we'll kind of just loop around little bits at a time.
Sure.
Ash, if Layla is behaving at the moment, would you like to go?
She is sleeping. Or, well, she's grumbling quietly. So, I'm playing Adelaide Martin. She is a fairly young girl who, I haven't found the name of a little village in England, but basically when all the boys in the village packed up to go do their part, she went as well. She's been working as a nurse near the front. She didn't have any medical training, so like all of her work is in how to, fix a blown apart leg or something, like very emergency triage, staunch the bleeding, and then also just like palliative care, taking care of them as they're dying. But yeah, she is dedicated to her work, and that is what brings her back once she dies. She is here to help people and is not going to let something like getting killed stop that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, her burden is the hungry. She has unfinished business.
Very good. Drew.
Cody Owens is a boy who was born, well, now he's 22, but, was born in Nowheresville, Indiana, Oklahoma, somewhere. Raised on a farm, went to school, gonna marry a girl, take over the farm, and somewhere there in that whole schooling thing, he read one too many books. All of a sudden,
Every time.
Every time, man. And realized that, hey, maybe there's more than a farm to think over and live on, and there's other places. And so at 16 he ran away to New York City, and by 17 he was working on a steamer ship, transatlantic. By 18 he's a kind of cute exotic American working at a Parisian cafe and trying to learn French. 21 that's right, 21, signs up for the French Foreign Legion because his adopted country is under attack. And by 22, he is dead in the muck down in Ottoman Turkey. His hunger is, in case you couldn't tell, his burden is the hunger and just the desire to explore, to go see new things, go new places. So even when signing up for the French Foreign Legion, it was like, well, I have done Paris. Let's go to the front. Let's go fight the, evil, Germans where they live, I guess. But, it'll be an adventure.
And strong against the Kaisers, man.
Right. And, hey, at age of 21, sure, this sounds like a good idea. Go to war. It's noble and support your... Yeah, that didn't work out.
Ralph.
Alrighty.
World premiere to everyone. What you got for me?
What I got for you is
Oh boy.
I'm gonna take it easy on you. So I'm gonna go with the second of two concepts.
Okay.
Okay. The first was going to be a rather blithe Spanish gentleman, which I'm still open to, but I think I've decided that I want to play Stefford Quincy Jones, captain in the 19th Regiment of the U.S. Army. All right, all black regiment in World War I.
Okay.
One of the few graduate. Go ahead.
for pre-America joining the war.
Oh, I think I missed that. Okay, so
Yeah,
it looks like
1916.
that's... Yeah, I forgot about that. All right. Okay.
But maybe we're not in this universe.
Right.
No big deal. It's all right. I missed that.
mean,
Okay.
We've fucked with history
Then
before. So
Yeah.
what'd you say?
We
I said
fucked
we
with
fucked with
history
history before. So
It's all right. We can do this differently.
Okay.
Instead, it could be that Stefford Quincy Jones is an aspiring poet and playwright who traveled to France, as a lot of educated black men were wont to do at that time of the century, considering that there was considerably more academic and intellectual freedom there, and was a favorite of various Parisian salons, and decided that instead of sticking to the city, he was going to make his way to the countryside, as was the culture and the affectation of a lot of European authors, right? At one point when the war effort jumped up, he got curious and decided that to increase his understanding of adventure and life and experiences that contribute to your skill as a writer, he might as well visit and witness the front. And what happens when you're naive and you're inexperienced? Well, you get shot dead by bullets flying around. So he died in an idyllic copse of trees while trying to pen a poem about the futility of his own curiosity.
Love that.
All right, wonderful. Other character traits that are important: aspires to be debonair, doesn't always succeed. Often has a quick response to an insult or a suggestion at his own incompetence, to mask his own insecurity. As as a lady he desired to return to eventually back in the U.S., but I suspect, he doesn't know, but I suspect that she's long moved on, but entertains his attention because she thinks it's a kind thing to do, and on his end, he thinks he's doing the same thing. So, but in France, he's gotten a kind reception.
Love that.
All right, cool.
How did you say how old he is?
He is 25.
Okay.
I didn't say. Thanks for asking.
Fair. All right.
Bertin?
Yeah, Adelaide's like 17. Fully up there with the little boys lying of their ages.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
What is Stefford Quincy Jones' reason for coming back?
Vengeance. He didn't get what he wanted. He's in part mad at himself at being naive. And also thinking that it's a tremendous injustice that he would die to a stray bullet, just wanting to explore the world. Like, what the fuck, right? What is this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds like the hunger.
Mm-hmm. Is that hunger? Is that
Hunger or vengeance, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't
Like that.
decided.
The idea, I was meant for great things, and some
Yes.
fucking random bullet stuffs me
Exactly.
out.
Yes.
Screw that.
Yeah, totally unfair. Yeah.
I love it.
I refuse to relinquish this. And I would say that when the offer was made to return him to his body, he agreed before any details were provided. Now, I know that the guys don't describe that in sufficient detail, right? That there's always some mystery there. But he's floating in, let's just abstract it as some kind of formless void for him, right? He has this experience wherein he feels like he's losing his earthly tether, and some entity says, hey, you want to go back? He says, yes, right? And the entity's like, oh, right. Okay, we don't need to discuss terms.
Sounds like the vengeful Bertin.
All right, wonderful. Cool.
Yeah.
And I'd
Here's
like
my
to
deal.
suggest.
Fuck that. Make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, the flavor text for that one is yours is the oldest story, the wrathful shade wrongly slain, the victim unburied, the one they thought they got away with. Funeral customs were invented to keep you away. Shamans, magicians, and exorcists exist to propitiate you. You are the thing they fear. Show them why.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so then
That's some dope shit.
I think we can combine the first idea with the second, right?
Cool.
In that his Geist was a foppish Spanish dilettante who often provoked people into duels for the sake of elevating his own sense of self-worth
Love that.
and got what was coming to him.
Cool.
Oh, but we don't know that.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
so-
Yeah, that's right. We don't know. I'm sorry.
In character, neither your ghost nor you will know. But like, it's good that we as players know at least a little bit of how our Geists died, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, cool.
But let's.
And yeah, the last bit of color for that is that always picking fights, trying to kill people with a sword. It was never justified.
Cool. So I take it you haven't quite got into like the actual like mechanics of like what haunts to take and stuff like that. You should.
Yeah, I haven't decided those.
Okay.
I've decided a lot on the concept. Focus
Cool.
on that this time.
Okay.
Good.
I like the concept.
Cool.
I'm liking that. Cool. Well, yeah. Let's keep going with you, and then we can loop back the other way.
Sounds good to me. Ask whatever questions you got.
Yeah. Tell me about your Geist a little bit.
All right. So as you
how
said,
do they
yeah, we don't
present
know.
now? If you have a name for them or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. A few ideas, right, came to mind. One was mirror for names, right? As far as how do they present? I think the aspect of my Geists, what do I want to say? Consciousness, self, identity, that was once present and is now present now, is indignity. Whereas Stefford Quincy Jones had a quip, always had a quip available if to respond, to retort to people when they'd criticize or even tease, that kind of thing. The Geist was what's the word? Vindictive about that kind of thing. So the aspect wherein the repartee, the riposte, right?
Mhm.
That in some circles might be polite banter, right? Even humorous.
Right.
It's always cutting with the Geist.
Cool.
So in the interplay between
Just no
Stefford,
chill.
yes, exactly, no chill.
Cool.
And so in the interplay between Stefford and the Geist, there's definitely that reflection, that recognition on Stefford's case that, oh, wait a minute, is this how I appear to people sometimes? This is intense, right? Like, oh, I could go that far? God damn, like, oh, that's cutting, right? Like, geez, calm down, right? So yeah, as far as names, mirror could be one that I was thinking of. Another would be vitriol. They're supposed to be evocative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I haven't come to one that I thought would make the most sense to me.
Okay.
Basically,
Sure.
considering I hadn't chosen all the haunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other questions about concept, I'm happy to hear or happy to answer. Field.
So, have you read into the section on keys?
No.
Okay. Then let's jump to Drew.
Yep.
Talk about some keys of both character and some Geist info. And
for Ralph,
Ralph,
it's
if you wanna-
122.
Thank you.
You get one innate key for your bound, which relates to how you died, and one for your Geist, which is related to how they died.
Okay, cool.
And they each tie into an attribute, and you can unlock a haunt with a key to add that attribute to the roll. And it very much flavors the spooky shit you're doing and also has like conditions called dooms that go along with them. So like there's the pyre flame, or the key of stillness, or key of deep waters, and they all have both literal and metaphorical sort of ways they can be interpreted. So we'll talk about with the other three and loop on back, just kind of in a circle.
All right, sounds good to me. I'll be here for it.
Drew,
Yeah.
tell us about your ghost, your Geist.
My Geist is the Whipping Boy. It's the name Cody gave to it because Whipping Boy wasn't particularly forthcoming with the name. And to be honest, Cody's not a big fan of talking with them. Looks to be in the 13, 14-year-old range. The kind of glassy, haunted eyes. Dressed in kind of 18th century servant livery. But when speaking, has the weird, creepy chorus of voices, I speak for many kind of thing going on. And when viewed from the front, everything seems kind of okay. The back, however, it's not pleasant.
Right is perhaps a good word.
Yes. And so they have actually, where's the key at? There it is. The key of blood, the key of passion, the key of oops, things went too far. And has a specific trigger of helplessness. We'll talk about those later, I'm sure. Has Ban and Bane, but I'm not mentioning those. And then Cody himself has the where's my keys?
You have stillness, right?
Yes, key of stillness. From his cause of death, wherein, yep, all right, we're evacuating, guys. Cool. Somebody gonna come get us out of here, and this whole platoon just died to a man just because somewhere somebody said, yes, we know there's some people over there, but we just can't rescue them. So moving on. And it's just this very dispassionate, forgotten.
Couple little soldier guys on the big map just kind of slid off the edge.
Yep. Any other questions about the Geist? Or
I like some of the flavor that Ralph gave with the interactions of like that. If you have any other sort of, I know you said doesn't like to talk to him too much, but
yeah, well, and some of the,
what influence, what change has the relationship with the Geist brought on Cody so far?
I mean, Cody, while he wants to go and explore, has always wanted, the idea of having a family. That sounds good. That's a thing I want to do eventually. And while the Whipping Boy himself appears to be, only a handful of years younger than Cody, it kind of nudges that whole like kid brother kind of somebody to protect, but is itself a horrific underworldly creature, which also kind of not a great thing. And I'm bleeding into my own lines and veils of I don't like kids getting hurt. So that's
I was surprised when you brought this concept to me, I'll be honest.
I know. I was like, okay, we're
okay.
Yeah, well, and notably because at this point they're already dead, so I'm like, I think there's the loophole in my lines and veils, and now I get to try and save them. But yeah, I think it also ties into Cody's root and bloom, which is the Bounds version of Vice and Virtue, because his root is the cowl. He wants to scare and intimidate the dead. They shouldn't be messing with people. They should leave them alone. And meanwhile, the Whipping Boy is the one that Cody is kind of afraid of. I think there's, obviously they are an entity, and because of his haunt call, the two of them get together a lot. which is a weird thing. And I think at this point, Cody's probably still new to the Geist vibe and has gotten some stuff figured out, has like the second dot of call and hasn't, but is still, I mean, they have Synergy 1, so it's still
Yeah, you've all had about, I would say at least about 6 months.
Okay, yeah.
Since your initial death.
Yeah, so
with factoring in time to travel to London and be trained in Project Persephone, and there have been missions before this on the front, and now you've been at least for a few weeks in Ypres.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for them, it's still coercive, and I think some of that is Cody has been unwilling to reach across the aisle, so to speak, and try and understand and figure out the whipping boy. But I think at this point it's starting to turn and being like, okay, really don't like you. I don't like this dead stuff. It all sucks. Yeah. But it's finally right. And that might be some of the arc that we see here. He's still going to hate on and be angry at ghosts that are rampaging and doing other stuff, but at least his own Geist he kind of gets. Especially the shared hunger is kind of my imagining. The whipping boy didn't want to be a servant that just something happened to. They wanted to go live a life too. So
right. Ash.
Okay, my Geist is Whistling Louie. He is, by all appearances, a fairly young soldier in a classic Napoleonic uniform, except it is tattered and beaten and full of bullet holes. He's and I have this in my head of him as being like a bad luck omen on a battlefield, someone that people might say you saw him walking and then everyone died. And whistling is the wind blowing through the holes in his chest.
Ooh,
oh,
that's good shit.
Oh man,
that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's exactly the kind of shit I want in every moment of this campaign.
Yeah, so he just has sort of a haunted, faraway look on his face, and you just look over in your trench, and here is this person standing beside you, and you know you're fucked.
Right.
Yeah, that is Adelaide's Geist. He has the Key of Cold Wind, which is tied to his trigger, which is Betrayal. Not sure why, but I'm thinking he got killed by his unit, either as a scapegoat and undeservedly, or maybe he did something and so they executed him. He looks like he got firing squatted to death. Adelaide's got the Key of Chance because she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Have in her bio that she was bringing warm drinks to the boys at the front, and then no one was expecting the artillery shell. And so, yeah.
I love that for the most part, you've all, either the Geist or the character just had a fucking pointless death. It's great. It's so fitting for this fucking
you
war.
said World War One, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love everyone's brought the nihilism. It's great.
Yep, just utterly senseless, pointless death. And I think that's. I guess how does she get along with the ghost? She sees him as just basically another soldier who needs help.
Oh, so Adelaide's got I can fix him vibes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
There's clearly something wrong with him that has made him like this, and so why he's still doing this. So he can help her further her goals, and she can help him. He's probably not a very
talkative.
Yeah, he's just kind of there most of the time, just sort of a presence.
Ooh. Craig.
So the Widow Baxter's Geist is the Lost Centurion. I have the Dread Geist merit, so the Lost Centurion is pretty imposing and scary and a sort of lurking menace. As opposing figure clad in corroded and tattered armor of a centurion, he's a gaunt with sunken eyes and cheeks, and a rime of frost clings to his equipment. Do I want to go into the remembrance, like what he's about and that kind of stuff?
I mean, as much as anybody else has.
Okay.
Kind of vague ideas of how they might have died, kind of thing.
Sure. So he sort of represents a death without meaning, the embodiment of dying with your purpose unfulfilled, the chill of high mountain air, the cold ache of starvation, and the smoldering resentment of a death without meaning.
Stafford and your guys got to hang out.
Yeah. How has the relationship with the lost or last? Sorry.
The Lost Centurion.
Lost Centurion.
Mhm.
How has that changed character?
Well, he's very pushy.
Mhm.
Always goading. Sort of seeks confrontation a lot. Dorothy's like the peaceable grandmother. She has really strong, Mima vibes. So they're at odds a little bit. And she's always trying to kind of temper what he wants, and he's always trying to push her to be meaner and fiercer and, be the warrior that she could be and that kind of stuff. So there's some friction between them, but
good.
Mm-hmm.
I am sure that oh my gosh, I didn't actually give the guy's name earlier during my intro.
Oh yeah, our boss?
Knight Commander Sebastian Brentwood. I'm sure that Sir Brentwood has pushed the Lost Centurion to further develop you.
Yes.
And this is the point where Chad at home goes, fuck, this guy's a mage, isn't he? If they didn't already guess. Alright, so key and relationship.
I don't think I talked about my key.
Oh yeah.
So
what's Dorothy's?
Dorothy's is the Tearstein key.
Which is
I think that's just a different name for another key.
The Key of Deep Waters.
The Key of Deep. So being World War I and on the front in a particularly brutal place, there's lots of stuff to activate that. Like it's the asphyxiation and the lack of breath and the feeling that you can't breathe when you lose a loved one and that kind of stuff is sort of the resonance of her key. So chlorine gas in trenches and things
it'll be right at home.
Right at home.
Yeah. Lots of exceptional successes to be had.
Yeah.
If you unlock a key, or you unlock a power with a key, when the key's resonance is in the area, or the target of it is resonant with your key, you get exceptional successes of the power on 3 instead of 5. So,
and the Lost Centurion's key is the key of the cold wind.
Ralph, has that bought you enough time to think about it a little bit?
Yeah. I'm not certain that I've made a final decision.
Sure. I mean, we're not going to be playing this for like a month?
Yeah.
So we got some time to loop around on some things, for sure.
I just noticed that the alt name for the Key of Chance is the Key of Black Humor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very
if
British.
if you haven't bought and read through this book yet, please.
It's really good.
It's so flavorful. Even if you're not going to play Geist, like it fleshes out so much stuff about Ghosts if you're playing Mage. You got some
The
Moros or whatever.
underworld. Oh, yeah.
The underworld itself, it's got some good shit. So Ralph, yeah, hit me with kind of train of thought if you got one.
Sure. I think considering what happened to Stefford and to his Geist, the Key of Chance, and the Key of Blood appealed to me. So, the notion of, and I was trying to think of this in the context of what dooms and resonances would make the most sense as opposed to the descriptors, the earlier descriptors of how the keys function. And of course, this is, tentative, but
Yeah, for sure.
the Key of Chance seems like an appropriate key for the Geist, because I'd like to think that the Geist in its previous life believed that everything was going to go its way until it didn't. And so one reason for the vengeance is that it turns out that all of the previous successes were just coincidental.
Oh,
So it
Good
wasn't a consequence of his skill or anything he had established. It was just he got lucky, and then eventually he didn't. And he was dead and got the death he
that-
deserved.
it's that very almost Shakespearean death of just looking down at the stab wound, thinking,
Yeah.
That's not
That
how this
doesn't
is
seem
supposed
right.
to go.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
good
exactly.
shit. Very
Well,
Alright, cool.
shit.
Yeah. And then for Stefford, I thought the resonance that made me think the Key of Blood might apply in that when situations spiral out of control, the Key of Blood is at its strongest, right? So he didn't intend to die as a consequence of a stray bullet, right? And I'd like to think that his life was relatively measured and easy before he got the notion in his head that his skill as a writer was going to increase if he deliberately exposed himself to unstable, dangerous circumstances. And so in death, he acquired some ability to mitigate the consequences of that instability a little bit better. Like he acquired that posthumous recognition that, oh, wait a minute, okay, although it's not good to jump into crazy scenarios like this, if you are going to do so, you can mitigate some of their consequences if you're a little less naive about it. And so in particular, it left him with that recognition of how to comport himself in uncertain violent scenarios. And I think that might be a good combination with what his Geist is providing to him. And that
Yeah,
the both of them are focused on how to deal with instability and uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that train of thought. I was gonna say the sort of idyllic copes and writing a poem and everything gave me some vibes of the Key of Stillness.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Mhm.
And also maybe even Key of Beasts.
Mm.
Just that out in the woods, nobody's around
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And then
Oh, yeah.
like this almost like play acting at having been something other than, part of the violent way the world works on a natural order sort of sense. The Beast and Blood are pretty in line with each other, I think. So something to think about.
Those are
But,
good suggestions. I
Yeah.
appreciate them.
I love all the extra names they give these. Like the
Mhm.
fact that each of these 9 things, one for each
Attribute.
stat, has like just 3 different ways. So like the Key of Beast is the Primeval Key, the Key of Tooth and Claw, and the Key of Verdant Savagery.
It's excellent.
And they're just all good. Cold Wind being the Key of Gale and Garrote is That's
Fucking-
tough shit right there.
yeah.
That's real good.
Really like the key of grave dirt.
Mhm.
Slate bereavement.
Stone and barrow. Yeah, the fact that like just each of these things has almost as much like flavor as an entire path of mage, and there's like that's just like one small part of your character. It's very very good how much like detail and flavor they packed into this game in various bits.
I agree.
So, I mean, I don't know that we need to go over like skills and stat dots and stuff like that, but I guess just sort of what do you envision your character doing as far as being in the realm of a battlefield is maybe the next question we can kind of think on. Let's go with Ash.
Well, for my the ghost abilities, were they haunts?
Mm-hmm.
I got Boneyard, Marionette, and Memoria.
Mm-hmm.
So Marionette lets you throw things. Basically, it's very cool.
Literal puppet strings made of plasm.
Yeah, at the first dot, which is all I have, all I can do is put it away. The second dot, you can move them around more specifically. Boneyard is really cool. It's linked to the Hungry Bertin.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you basically get to sort of consecrate an area of land as yours, and then you
Consecrate.
well, yeah.
This is my haunted house.
Yes, and then you can know about anyone in it. You can know like how they're doing, and at the first dot you can impose environmental tilts on them. And Memoria lets you look at how someone died, right?
Mhm.
If you have like three pieces of
facts
information on them. Yeah.
It's very flavorful, and then turns into some really cool shit at higher dots. If you haven't read through Geist, there are a number of haunts, and they function almost like very specific arcana to compare them to mage. At the base level, they all give you a way to activate them and a base power with ways to spend more plasm as your sort of power resource to enhance them. And as you go up in dot level of that haunt, you get more specific and powerful ways to enhance the base power of the haunt. Also, Ralph, big shout out to you being the Vengeance, because you can get the Rage.
That's what I was
So
thinking.
fucking good.
I was
It's
thinking.
so good.
I was thinking.
Let me just wrap my ghost around me, Hulk the fuck out, and go destroy some shit.
Yeah, I'll just.
Yeah.
If I can briefly jump in,
Mhm.
one reason why I was thinking that is probably the most powerful sensation and encouragement that Stefford's gotten from his Geist is the notion that he can't just sit around and try and gain an understanding from experiences by writing about them. That if you want to know what it's like to bathe your hands in blood, you have to do that directly.
We're not here to be a scholar. We're here to be a fuckboy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like with my skills and merits, I basically have her as a support character. My merits are all based around like I have like good time management, common sense, a reconciler, good points in investigation, medicine, science, and then like empathy and persuasion. My only real physical skill is survival, because I figure she's
Pick up a little bit along the way.
decent at that at this point. Yeah.
A lot of good scrounging, making do kind of vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but basically information gathering, planning, sort of, yeah,
Cool.
making the plans, getting things together, helping out with nonviolent solutions,
Mhm.
and when they're an option.
Dig it. Can jump back to Ralph.
All right.
I mean, we kind of started in on yours a little bit, but what would you be happy to see your character doing in the game?
Yeah, great.
In the realm of the Battlefront.
Fair enough. That's the question I was intending to answer. So my character started as a scholar, somewhat, I'd say, averse to violent action, right? And I think after death, he's a soldier, but in the sense of trying to accomplish decisive action to move things along. So the aspect of himself that's still playing out is the notion of plot and narrative. So whereas before a lot of his writing was contemplative, right? Now he feels he's living out the story of some protagonist that is gritty and doesn't care about consequence. And so although Stefford thinks that he is in some kind of partnership with his Geist, right? What's really happening is the Geist is propelling him to provide both of them with some vicarious posthumous satisfaction, wherein they're both taking lives or causing harm to satisfy the disappointment they have that they both died before they were able to achieve what they wanted.
Cool. Can you take that?
All right.
Craig.
So Dorothy Baxter is has strong Mima energy. So that tends to put people at ease around her. And they talk to her, so she's definitely more of the information gathering side of things, rather than a kick ass and take names. Although with her Geist, she can certainly do that. Her aunts are of the Oracle and the Shroud. So Oracle is good for gathering information and visiting places on the battlefield that maybe she isn't actually at, and gaining information that way. And also like learning secrets about other ghosts and things like that they might encounter, or other denizens of the underworld. And the Shroud allows her to basically borrow from her Shade's power. She actually coats herself in plasm and can do some funky shit with that.
Don't need to eat, drink, sleep. Can slip into the twilight.
Eventually, I think fly is something she can do. Yeah. So she's like a scrounger and a supply type person, but also information and intelligence, and sort of getting the pulse of what's happening around them.
Sure. And one thing I didn't touch on is there, like, the retinue of the Ninth Division that you're all a part of. There are other members of it here. Y'all are the only bound, but there are other members of the crew that we can introduce when they're relevant. Obviously, I have not done as much over prepping as I did with the Richmond Mages game, so I don't have like a whole list of 47 ghosts and NPCs and things for you right now, but I will have some.
And I'm imagining this is both living and non-living members of the unit.
For sure. So while you are expected to participate in battle, if you get wrapped up in it, that's not explicitly what you're here for, right? Something is happening in the surroundings of the town, of this part of the front, and you've been sent to go check it out because there'd be some spooky shit happening. So investigation and talking to people and stuff like that is definitely going to be rewarded, right? We're not just chucking dice of firearms at each other for four sessions and calling it a day.
Gotta retool my character entirely.
Cool. Drew.
Sure. There's a little bit of overlap with Adelaide in the fact that Cody does have some social stuff going on, and he is pretty empathetic, and he also actually has the reconciler merit. So I may take that back actually, and make this guy a little bit more kick-ass. But at the end of the day, and I guess actually I can kind of nudge this to everybody. Are we spreading our skills out, or are we kind of going for a like, oh, we totally have like multiple 3 and 4 dot skills?
For my like main thing, like mental was my main thing. I have 3 in investigation, 4 in medicine.
Yeah.
I figured that's what she does.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Other than that, I have 3 dots in empathy because again, that's what she does.
Gotcha. Yeah, because like for Cody, he's got 3 dots in firearms. Everything else caps out at 2. So kind of leaning, and he's got 1 dot kind of all over the place. So I just want to make sure my character matches. That way I don't show up with the spread out, I'm a real boy kind of vibe, and everybody else is showing up with I don't not superheroes, but like specialists, I guess is a better way to say it. So that's something I might come back and tool over.
I would say you are looking at the 3 character sheets I have with all the dots filled in and everything. You are more spread out than either of them.
Gotcha. So
not in a totally detrimental way, I would probably say.
Yeah. I just might nudge stuff a little bit.
You might specialize your physical stuff a little bit better, or a little bit denser.
Yeah.
But I mean, Cody will be good at not having dice penalties on doing things untrained, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for me, I was just trying to figure out, like, well, what out of this list could she do? And yeah.
No, that's so good. But yeah, on the battlefield, out and about, he is a soldier. He has his Enfield rifle. Thank you, U.S. Army, or excuse me.
British Army.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He does have 1 dot in Boneyard because, hi, have you met me? This is remotely base building. Dibs.
I can just build a base anytime I want. It's great.
Yeah. I was very sad when I realized, it goes away if you walk away, but that's fine.
Just been more pleasant, build a new one.
Yep.
Also, just make it really big.
I didn't take the extra dot because you have to get to the 2, but I did take the 2 dots of call because there's going to be a lot of it's not as offensive as the rage might be, and it's not as sneaky as the shroud might be, but there's a lot of options for movement. I think
it's horrifying. I love it.
Absolutely. I look forward to, and I will have to check with Chris on the body horror levels of stuff. But like,
as long as it's not medical, I'm going to be pretty good with ghostly.
Just your horrible ectoplasm goo body.
Yes.
I mean, I do remember really grossing Perry out with the bees in the arm.
Oh yeah.
Played, what you call it?
Oh, heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's things to be
also
said.
have bees in her eyes.
Yeah. Fair.
Along those lines, I have one of my merits. I have the ceremony of diviner's jawbone, but maybe we'll do most of that off screen.
Part of the ceremony is like you have to kill a person, right?
Yep.
Do you have to kill them, or does somebody else, or can somebody else kill them for you?
I need their head, and I have to clean it myself.
Oh, okay, easy peasy.
Yeah, well, we are at war. I think there are going
to be a lot of decapitations.
Yeah.
I just predict that.
Predict.
I predict that there will be several decapitations.
Yeah, to be fair, especially with my line being very medical based, it's more surgeries and things
that makes
happening,
vivisection,
and stuff like that. Yeah. Don't want to imagine things happening while the person is alive.
Yeah. But
that's the impression I got. I appreciate you for clarifying that.
Somebody being stabbed and then cleaning up a skull for a trophy. That's fine. That's just
somebody being disemboweled.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, can we not do that?
But Cody also has the 2 dots in call, which allows him to merge physically with his Geist. Can use the Geist attributes. for stuff. So yes, I need to be really smart for a second. Let me borrow the Whipping Boy's power to amp up my brain, which, by the way, does let you completely bypass your normal limits. So yeah, Cody can have those super brainy moments, or far more likely, I need to be very dexterous right now, and I need to make this shot. And also has the ability to, ignore wound penalties, and at 2 dots, which he has, give himself armor. So yes.
Go inside places your body can't fit.
Also that, but I've got this rifle thing, so yeah, we'll have to think.
I'm gonna shoot some messages over to those Stranger Things caption guys, and,
right. See if they can help us out, because that was some great captioning. But yes, and then he also he has grave goods. Which is the hunger specific, oriented. It's not only for them, merit. So he can, he has supplies at the ready.
It's cool. You just sort of like
ghost shit.
You're a pack rat, and you just sort of summon up your ghost stuff.
Yep. And took I also took a ceremony specifically for outside of what we get from the crew. I get for those who are left behind, which is just a big, hey, we're gonna hang out for an hour and mourn those that were lost, and it helps people get over things.
Anchors.
And also took a memento, and I wasn't sure what I was going to take, and then I found the most in character, absolutely gotta take it, memento called the Rusted Flask, which is right out of the book, a World War I hip flask with a crudely engraved with an etching of the British flag and an attractive naked woman over the words "For Victory." Despite being silver, it reeks of old copper, so you get that bloody smell. And leaves flakes of rust on the hands of anyone who touches it, but it's always full of a deep amber whiskey, well-aged but unpleasantly metallic. Getting drunk on the flask contents allows a mortal human to see into the twilight, so long as they remain inebriated. Come on, guys, we're gonna get drunk, and you guys are gonna see some shit.
Freak some normies out.
Well,
you don't have ghosts in your blood. Let's drink whiskey about it.
Yep. But specifically, I like the overlap of the ceremony. And that's something I think that while Cody's route is I fucking am going to yell at, scream at, and beat up ghosts, or at least that's his route. His bloom is surrogacy, and he wants to take care of people, and so, especially being a soldier, he's going to be looking at possibly the mortal members of the crew, or just, British doughboys out there, whoever, and working with them. It's like, we lost some folks today. Let's sit, drink, talk about it, and you're going to have a ride, but hopefully get over your losses. And so they're not as wounded as Cody is, because Cody has some... Cody lost the men he fought alongside, so
cool.
Yeah.
All right. To wrap up here, got some really good inspiration going on. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the little character exposition kind of stuff. Let's talk about the crew real quick for a couple minutes. I went ahead and made it. You can all see it. Project Persephone crew sheet. We can adjust things that y'all want to. So the crew actually ends up having stats that can be rolled for like overarching crew actions, and you get a total of 6 dots to place into the 3 attributes. So I just made them even for now. You can adjust those if you want. It is a Undertaker's crew. Which is the sort of tagline is I'm dying right now, so are you. We all are. Death is all around us, always. It's time we stopped being afraid. And it is
all the ceremonies I wanted the crew already had, so I didn't have to buy them.
Yeah.
I was gonna buy Death Watch, but it's here.
Really coming to terms with death, with both before you die and after it, and protecting people that are not in the underworld. And then as higher tier crews, you start,
Making
going
plans
into
for the underworld.
Yeah, making plans for the underworld and doing some adjustments. Was the crew in? What was the crew in?
Oh, they were Necropolitan.
Necropolitan, yeah, that's what I thought.
They wanted to party it up with the ghosts and be like, guys, dying ain't a big deal. It's cool.
Right. Yeah, all about like wielding subtle influence in the world and shaping how people view the underworld, because you recognize that that's how it is formed. And so this is a big reason why this crew will be a particular, we'll say, connection to what is going on this battlefield in this section of the front. So you do get a safe place, which we can establish what that is. It is probably a section of semi-ramshackle, mostly bombed buildings left in the town that you've sort of set up headquarters in, because this town has been getting shelled for the last 2 years off and on. And then 7 dots of merits that you all have access to on behalf of the crew. So there is a 2-dot library, 1 dot of resources, 2 dots of status with the British Armed Forces, which I'm using to represent that. And I have very little military knowledge, and I don't want to get stuck on ranks and stuff like that too much. So the verisimilitude will have to get heated for that purpose. But essentially, you all approximate a very highly ranked non-commissioned officer. So enough to get respect from most people on the field without, being able to do everything that you want, disregarding, orders and regulations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the crew has 2 dots in the supernatural membership merit, which means that you're non-sin eater. You're non-bound. I'm trying to be specific because I don't think people in 1916 would be using sin eater as a description.
In World War I, I don't think that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Bound when talking about the human, or was human, or whatever, however you want to flavor it.
The fleshy half.
The Geist referring to the ghost. So supernatural membership means that your non-bound members of the crew can have supernatural merits up to twice that dot rating. So you quite possibly could have some pyrokinetics or any number of mediums and stuff like that to go along. So yeah, good shit. The crew has 3 ceremonies and can buy more when it gets XP if you want, because the crew does level up as well. Death Watch, which is about pausing people from dying. Crow Girl Kiss, which is about extracting a bad supernatural effect from someone and trapping it in a sort of talisman.
And a feather.
Yeah. And again, all the descriptions of the ceremonies are examples of how they can work, right? You're welcome to give your own flavor of how your crew does it. And then Dumb Supper, which is having ghost lunch, right?
Feeding the ghosts.
Yeah.
We did that.
I was like, I think I got that one right.
Yep.
So alongside the crew, you get the crew has a mystery cult initiation that you create. You all start with 1 dot in it, and you can buy more. I'd be fine with probably up to 3 at the start, depending on how wholeheartedly you've joined up and really gone for the sort of philosophical side of Project Persephone. And as the crew gains more ceremonies, you always have access to any of the ceremonies the crew has at or below your dots of the MCI. So if you have 2 dots of the Mystery Cult, then you would have both Crow Girl Kiss and Death Watch access. And we can talk about this more in the coming time that we have, but for now, at the 1 dot of the Mystery Cult initiation, I've got a specialty for occult ghosts. At 2 dots, the first dot of the Hardy merit. At 3 dots, it would be a skill dot or a 2 dot merit, and I have, as of now, I have it as a dot of occult. For 4 dot merit, I have the Thief of Fate merit. Kind of tying in with, your leader being a mage and sort of
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Some extended supernal revelations, shall we say, influencing how you've developed. And then at the 5th dot, you, depending on your sort of final dedication to the crew, you will either receive a ceremony to upgrade your Geist to a Dread Geist, or gain a powerful memento, which we can craft on our own. And I will put that in our chat. We can talk about flavorful and other choices and stuff like that. But at least it's the first couple dots pretty good for occult researchers that are finding themselves in the meat grinder, so to speak.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I think that's, I have some more questions, but we'll probably ask them off stream. I think this is a good point, and obviously time-wise, it's a good point to wrap up. So I will say thank you to my wonderful cast here, coming up with some great ideas to be some spooky bitches. And I hope that everyone has enjoyed our little, not peek behind the curtain, but backdrop painting session here, as we get ready to start this campaign and really dive into what the hell is happening in wartime Belgium. Thank you so much for joining us, and if you want to hang out with us outside of our stream time or our videos, you can come check us out on our Discord. That is yeetinto.space. And if you'd like to support us monetarily, help us with character art and equipment upgrades and stuff like that, you can check us out on our Patreon. Handy link for that is staylucky.club. And we will catch y'all next time. The rest of our August is going to be a little topsy turvy.
There's some schedule notes, maybe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll post events up on the Discord like we've been doing, to help y'all keep track of what streams are going to happen when. But I believe we're
next week
not doing anything, or what are we doing?
So I'm trying to remember. Next week
I'm gone.
You're gone. Okay, right. Next week, we're just off. I'm going to post Assassins. So for any of you who missed it, that'll be going up. And then Perry, maybe, Cult of the Lamb stream. So you all can tag along and be my cultist. That would be weird. And it's a base building game. And there's cult stuff like, hi. Right. But the week after that will not be Geist. It will be the playtest materials for the Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that.
I was going to say, Ashes are
looking forward to it. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. That looks really fun. It's going to be really short, one shot. It's literally, I'm going to spoil it for you because it's pre-created stuff. Hi, we're going to chat. Bad guys show up. We're going to fight them. More bad guys show up. We're going to fight them. The end. So it's just going to be fun. It's going to be campy. We've already got one fairly wacky character. I actually don't. I looked at Chris's stats, but I actually don't know what.
I haven't flavored them yet.
Yeah.
I just made the punchiest boy I could.
Surprising nobody.
No one.
But yeah, it's and it is it is playtest, so we may stumble over some stuff. Literally between when I created the Roll20 sheet and now they did some updates that completely changed how damage is calculated. So it's just going to be a fun little. We're gonna chill, throw some dice around, beat up some bad guys, and then move on with our lives. If it goes really short, we may talk about what we thought about it, but it'll just be a fun little thing, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, those are the next couple things. So
so that would be the 19th for people that like dates. The 26th we will again be off. That's Ash and I will both be out of town to the same place, but yeah. And then it looks like Geist will probably start on September 2nd.
Which means you definitely need to make sure it runs like 8 weeks so we can end like on Halloween or something. Yeah.
Spooky season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In full swing.
Cool.
It's the best
People will be
time.
wearing face paint,
Pumpkins.
costumes,
Ghosts.
All right.
scary sounds,
Ooh.
voice modulation.
Chris has already picked out music for Geist. I need to go listen to it. I'm super excited. So, but thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to find somebody to raid real quick on Twitch.